2025 Ironman Maryland. This one's taking place September 20th in Cambridge. Rolling through the images here, this is exactly what you're going to get. A pretty flat and fast bike, usually. You get flat finishes, you get flat runs. You're largely hampered by what the conditions are happening on race day. So let's dive into it. So let's go to our course section here. The historical weather 2, 3, and 24. High temperatures were 82, 79, 82 again. Lows 61, 54, 61 again. So carbon copy in 22 and 24. Water temperatures, you're hovering around 76, 75, 74 degrees. I would expect this year to be a little bit hotter, but just a guess at this point in July here. Let's talk about our swim. Our swim is a two-loop swim course, all right? You're going to be doing this counterclockwise out here. And when you start out, this is going to be our starting spot. Transition zone is going to be right through here, right? And they'll probably have you exit through this way around to the boat ramp on race morning, and then you'll wait in line right over here. Early stages of our swim course right through here do have a strong possibility to be very, very shallow. If this is the case, not very uncommon for athletes to dolphin dive here and there and everywhere up until about this point on the swim. Taller athletes will have the ability to do it a little bit longer, but it's going to be really, really affected by what happens leading up to this race in terms of weather and things like that, setting down the mud and stuff in this spots over here. So if it is a little bit shallow, don't be super surprised. It is what it is. It's a little bit mucky, it's a little bit yucky, but you'll get through it super fast. No big deal. Because of the really shallow start, even if there is no bottom for you to touch out there because it is so shallow, your swim times are probably going to not be what they want right here. And that's okay. A lot of athletes really, really get upset about that. They want to set the world on fire. And being that it is the start of your event, it's kind of a triple whammy all wrapped into one. A lot of athletes kind of panic out here. They think they should be swimming a lot faster when they aren't. Just be patient during this section. It's going to be the washing machine for sure right through here. As we progress over here, you'll notice the impacts of the currents a little bit more, the chop tank out here. It can go two different ways out here. It can swirl this way on race day, or it can do the opposite direction out here. What we are going to be doing is we are going to be focusing on this swirl out here. So if it's the opposite, just flip it around. So as we progress down this section over here, we are going to be going into a little bit more of a current, and you will definitely notice that during this section out here and possibly slightly even before it. So it's going to get progressively harder. You're going to start off in this section with a nice shallow bottom, so you won't be able to swim your swim times. And as you progress a little bit further, you'll get lulled into this false sense of, all right, now it's going to start again. And then you're going to be directly impacted by the swim currents there. As you make your turn out here, you're probably still going to be bunched up, and this is probably going to be a swim if you're a mid-pack athlete where you're not going to be able to get away from a lot of people, and that just is what it is. Sorry to say it. At least for this section out here. So as we progress and make our way up over here, we are still going to be fighting that stuff. And during this section, no matter what the current is doing, this is a huge red flag section out here. A lot of athletes really overdo this section. They really, really, really go into the red out here, and they just want to get away from people. They just want to set themselves up. It's kind of a frustrating swim out here in Maryland, so just be very patient out here. It's pretty much the motto of that first loop, and set yourself up for success that way. Continuing on out here, once you hit this turn out here, things will slowly start to break up. And by the time you get to this section, you should be around a group of people that are kind of having like-minded abilities out here on race day. And as you continue over here, remember you are going to continue into our zone of shallowness over here. You are going to slow down. It is what it is. You might hit the bottom. Don't freak out. Okay, it's there. All right, don't overthink it. You do have a little chicane to kind of navigate out here. And what probably will happen is they will run you right up to here, and then you'll just turn that way. So no big deal there. In terms of the turn out there, this is a rectangle swim course. So you're going to be doing it again. Faster swimmers, you're probably going to be running into athletes over here. Mid-pack swimmers, you're probably going to be running into swimmers again out through there. If you're a back of the pack swimmer, you're probably going to be feeling that the catches happen at those spots again. So how do you attack the first loop versus the second loop? First loop, you're kind of establishing yourself, getting into your rhythms and zones, and getting into a group is probably the biggest thing you need to do here on race day. Everybody's doing this course to try to get a PR, so let's do it. All right. As you get to the second loop here, if you do want to jump into a different group, this is the place to do it. All right. If you wait until this time on your second loop, you only have one straightaway left, and that is not the time to do it. All right. During that section, you really just want to, ease things back a little bit, get ready for the bike. It's going to be a flat bike. It's going to be a little more challenging than what everyone realizes. So just stay calm in that section and maintain your effort levels. During this stretch right here to our finish line, things do change a little bit. That's one of the other areas that is usually impacted by the currents year after year after year. So expect a little bit of a fight to get to that T1 area. And after you get out, you will make your way to the boat ramp, which can be a little bit slippery. So just be careful out there. And you enter the transition. One last thing to mention out here is there is a strong possibility that there is going to be some extra wildlife out there in terms of jellyfish, or other things out there. It is what it is. Don't overthink it. If there is a strong jellyfish pack that's kind of hanging around here in September, um, you know, there's definitely ways to prevent yourselves from having a terrible swim, getting stung a thousand times. If you are interested in that, reach out below. I'll happily go through some of those things with you there. But just realize there's nothing you can change, so I wouldn't really stress about it a ton leading up to race day. All right. Definitely take note of some of those things, but just accept it. It is what it is. Everyone's got to do it. So, scrolling back up here, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, and that is our bike out here. We got typical distance out here. We have on their map about 108 feet of elevation gain. You're going to be doing this loop 2 times out through here once you hit that high school, and then you'll be looping back into the finish line over there. Let's talk about the aid stations really fast, and then we'll dive into some more specific elevation power talk. So aid stations out here, this one is going to be coming back in, so you'll not hit it on the way out. You'll likely hit this one. It's going to be our first one right before mile 14. Looping back up, mile 27 is probably going to be the next one, 37 again, and then 48, and that encompasses the loop. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll hit these 4 2 times. So that's a total of 8 plus 1 is 9 aid stations out here on race day. Looking at our map out here, let's change it to make it a little more eye-friendly for you. We've got 570 feet of elevation gain out here. Truth lies in between, likely. I would probably err to the side of Ironman on this one. And just realize that this course is definitely affected by what the weather and the elements are doing big time. This is one of the biggest impacted courses out there from an elements and weather standpoint. When you do think about the weather can be going this way. For wind, it can be going this way. If there is a forecasted direction of going this way on race day, which we will be discussing out here. Just because the weather's going that way doesn't mean that's all the weather's doing. It will swirl out here. It will come from one way, the other way, back and back again. It will come from every single direction. It will have one general direction, but it's going to come from everywhere. So be prepared for that. Great way to think about it or watch for it on the race day on the track out there is to watch what happens for the athletes in front of you. See what the weather's doing to them. If you're getting to a spot where the wind is really pushing an athlete that's a little bit ahead of you, plan for that. Be prepared for that. And really brace yourselves, and maybe you don't fuel in that moment and you fuel right after that little section out there. If you hit a little turn and the wind hits you right in the face, what's everyone doing 30, 40, 50 feet off the road? And you could see here there's a lot of area that you could see for a great distance ahead of you. So even these little zigzags out here, this is probably one of the places you can't see for a long period of time. But if we did make to right out through here, we've got about 76.3 going to this turn right here, 77.1. So you're going to have a healthy amount of time pretty much everywhere on this course where you have the ability to see what's in front of you, also what's behind you. That's good and bad. You can't really escape out here. So the main thing is aero for sure. A really common pitfall for athletes out here on this course is the aero lock. They lock themselves in that aero position and they cannot get out of it for the whole race. And that is by choice. I would encourage you to get out of the aero position, believe it or not, every once in a while. You don't want to lock yourself in there for hours and hours and hours and then get out on the run and try to run. It just will not work for the first couple of miles out there. And you might set yourself up for disaster later on, right? So let's dive into specific power numbers and things that you can do. This athlete, we use this all the time. This athlete's got about 245 FTP, weighs 155, and this is his FTP right through here. And you can see throughout the day, it's pretty steady out here. Getting rid of our elevation to make it less busy. Getting rid of our speed to make it even less busy out here. You can see he's holding pretty much 2 or 3 numbers the entire day. He's at about 170, 171. Early stages, he's at about 175. And this section, he's at about 183, which we'll talk about in a second. Big elephant in the room. Lap number 2, pretty much a carbon copy of lap number 1. It will pick up a little bit, so your power will likely have to increase slightly there too. Let's look at our zones really fast. In our 6-zone model, we're spending a ton of time in zone 2. It's a pretty conservative race right here. And if you wanted to kind of feather that line a little bit more, some of your time would be removed from zone 2 and moved into that zone 3 area. All right. Now let's talk about weather. Really fast here, our weather. We are averaging wind speeds of about 8 or 9 miles an hour. I would say it's probably going to be a little bit more out there. It has a strong possibility to be very high, much higher than this, and probably even double if it is a normal day out there. If you get a perfect day, I hope you do, then this is probably a good representation. But if it's not a perfect day, it can be a very, very tough day out there. All right. So power. Looking through the first little section of our course out here, let's do some drawing for everyone. This little section right through here, you're going to be going out of town through the golf course, that kind of stuff. This is a known area, especially right through here. And we'll get over here so it's a little bit cleaner out here for everyone. This section up here, you're going through the neighborhoods, very, very high probability that you are going to overdo it here, especially if you are a front of the packer, mid packer. There's going to be a lot of athletes around you. Just like our swim, everyone's going to be trying to panic, getting out of the way, and trying to establish themselves on the road, right? You can do a little bit of that, but if you find yourself doing it a ton, right, I would really, really back off a little bit. Looking at the corners through our first little section, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 corners that happen very, very quickly out here on race day. That's in the first 3.5 miles. So again, you're going to have trouble getting away from people. You're going to have kind of the crit problem where you explode out of corners if you're not careful, and you can expend a lot of energy very quickly without realizing it in these first 3.5 miles. This other section right through here leading up to that Horns Point Road, this section you're going to get kind of opened up to that wind. I don't care what the weather forecast is. Usually in this section out here, you can get a good rate of speed, but you'll probably experience a couple of crosswinds right through here in these first 4 miles. And this is another area, it's just a trap out here. This section back through here, you'll find that the wind kind of dies in most times. If that is the case, again, watch out, watch out. You'll lose some of that feedback to you. That's you're pushing and pushing and fighting the wind. You will lose that right through here. And so again, a lot of athletes really push the pace out through here. This section, one of my favorite sections out here. So you go through a little tree covered road. It's awesome. It's really tucked away. Very, very quiet road. It's shaded, it's the best. And then you open up right through here, hang a left turn, you're going to be opened up to the wind big time out here. This is a kind of a tougher section through here than it is on paper. Slight uphill going to our problematic area on the race course. This section, usually a tailwind, you'll fly, it'll feel great. And as you rotate around through here, right, you're going to slowly turn into that wind. Again, our forecasted wind that we are talking about is going this direction out here. So you're going to slowly turn into that wind, and you're going to want to go a little bit faster than you're going. That's going to be a theme of the day out here. And you are going to have to really check in with yourself and say, whoa, what's my power? You know, we are only about 10 miles in, so going back to our 10-mile area out here, let's zoom in through this section out here. So this is the section that we were just talking about. You can see that our power shouldn't really go crazy over this section out here, and you should see that it does kick up a little bit when we start turning into the wind there. After you get through this section over there, you're going to go past the high school and you are going to be out onto the main circuit out here. I know this circuit it looks big, right? So if we highlight this whole thing out here, our circuit's about 45 miles around. I know that's a long time, right? We do this twice, but you will find there's going to be a bunch of groups out here. There's going to be pockets of people, and that's just comes down to what everyone is on the race day, right? But for whatever reason, everyone kind of comes together over this, and you're going to have kind of two mentalities out here. You're going to have the group mentality, and you're going to have the mentality that is, I'm going to get away from everyone, can't stop me, bye. I would really, really caution you against the second one all the time. There is definitely circumstances where you have to be there. But if you're constantly just trying to drop people out here on the race day, you're going to find that you get dropped big time on the second loop out here. If we go back to our power profile out through here, right, once we get to our high school section, and let's zoom all the way around this section here, we'll go a little bit past for a reason in a second. Again, think back to our wind, right? 175. Once we get back through this section over here, we're going about 170s right here. And then it kicks up a little bit around. That's the wrong thing right there. And then it kicks up once you get to about this spot over here to about 183. That is not by design. That is because of the weather. Think back to that weather that we talked about before. It's heading this direction. So when you are going in this section out here, you're going to be going into the headwind. So you're going to be battling, getting back to the high school right through there, getting to that personal needs section here. There's going to be a couple other areas where you definitely have to watch out for. Again, this direction of wind, direct headwind. On this section here, you're going to get a cross headwind. So that's going to be a good indication right there of what's going to come on this second straightaway or this second stretch of road right here. This section here, you're going to be directly in a crosswind, most likely. I know weather can change, but most likely. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's swirling around for you and it's happy days all around, but I doubt that will happen. It's only happened once. Um, so this section here, you're going to have to gauge and kind of build your speed up or just kind of maintain where you're at. What's going to happen? That group mentality, right? You're going to be around a bunch of people. They're going to be driving the pace or you are, right? And someone's going to overdo it. Someone's going to blow their lid out here. Hopefully that's not you. This is a common thing that happens on this course. Make sure you're fueling, hydrating, all of that fun stuff. Know who you are as an athlete, low cadence athlete, high cadence athlete. I don't really care right now, right? General overview here. But if you are an athlete that rides really, really high cadence and you get out here and you're riding really, really low cadence, you're going to blow up, whether that's going to be on the last 2/3 of the second loop or on the run out here. So know who you are, right? A lot of athletes fall into a trap of racing for other people on race day. They'll get in the group mentality. They'll try to lead the pack or stay on a pack they have no business staying on, and they fall apart later. Big surprise, big surprise. But that ramp up that we just talked about here, it happens on two loops out here. The first one's right here. The second one is right through here. You'll notice that it does tick, tick, tick up on that second loop. That's because it's getting later in the day, and the elements are going to get a little worse and worse and worse. Usually, right? We're recording this a couple of months ahead of time, so it's very impossible to tell you exactly what's going to happen on race day. But from my experience, the weather does get worse out there before it gets better, right? Hopefully you've seen that you got some water out through here, right? That means that if it is coming from a different direction, usually the stronger winds are coming from this direction or up here, and then it peels off, and that's why you get some of the swirling that happens on race day. Now, continuing on with our trend of race day, there's a lot of zigging and zagging out here. Again, a lot of aero out through here. A lot of potential to kind of forget what's going on. This is a common course where athletes turn their brain off, elite all the way down to beginner. Make sure you are actively monitoring your hydration, your fueling, all of that fun stuff. Biggest thing to watch is your power output, okay? How are you putting the power out? And you can actually start simulating that now, believe it or not. Because Maryland is so flat, it's one of the few courses that you can really simulate very well inside, all right? So maybe doing some of your longer rides inside, realize that if you train inside versus outside, it's going to train different muscles. You're going to put power out a little bit differently, and that's going to set you up for race day success out here, all right? Because you're pedaling one style the entire day over and over and over again, those muscles have a high probability of fatiguing, and you're going to have to pedal differently, not to the best of this course, right? So make sure you're practicing some of that stuff now. Aid stations, we got a bunch out here on race day. Again, huge aero course out here, so aero is very, very important. If we talked about our time analysis out through here and we decrease our drag, means improve it slightly, we're going to save a whopping minute over this course just by slightly improving our drag. Power output, increasing it slightly, again, a 115% savings. Weight, if we drop down 1%, we're saving 13 seconds, so not a huge gain there. And that is why, You don't really have to be super, super lean to have really good success on this bike course here. Rolling resistance, decreasing it saves you 15 seconds. I would argue and say that that is incorrect. I'm going to say it's going to save you a lot more over this course out here. So if it was me, what I would be doing right now is I would be improving my aero position, my ability to hold that aero position, and lastly, my ability to hold race power in that position over time, right? If you can do those things now, you're going to save a ton of time. Also, if you can run off the bike, that would be even better out there, right? Power, of course. Naturally, we want to increase that now to September for sure. Again, we're already at 4.5 minutes. We really haven't done a whole lot out there. And rolling resistance, I would try to find some tires that are going to help you out a little bit more, PSI optimizations for you. And again, we've been able to save 5 minutes with that realistic things that you can do right now, unless you're already set up in that optimal positions, right? So these are the two things that I would be really, really focusing on. I would also be focusing on this slightly if you can, and that's what I would do to set up for race day success right now. All right. Again, zones for this one, it's pretty standard. It's super flat, no huge surges, no huge hills that we got to really worry about. So you're a lot of time in zone 2 of our zone 6 model. As we stated earlier, if you wanted to be a little more, you know, towards the pony end of the spectrum, you're going to be spending a little more time in your zone 3, or you're going to be improving your FTP now so you can spend more time in that higher zone 2, which you will have. And that is our bike, believe it or not, guys. Done and dusted. Cadence is a huge thing. Watch out for other people. You are your own worst enemy on this bike course. All right? So know who you are and race to that. Going back to our run now, scrolling up here. Our run, a little bit of a unique situation out here. Follow the green dot. As we start off, we're going to immediately pass the finish line in the first let's call it 9.9 miles out here. So right away, you will actively see that finish line, one of the cruelest runs out there on the circuit. It is what it is. You're going to immediately take a right. You're going to hit one of your only major elevation barriers that you are going to have to worry about out here. Getting up to the top of the hill, happy days. You get to turn right back around. Congratulations, you've completed, I think, a sixth of the elevation out here on race day. You are going to be rolling back through the transition area over here, back to Gary Boyle State Park. This is one of the areas where weather is going to impact you the most out here. Conditions are going to be felt a ton out here at the park. Weather, wind, rain, all going to be a huge factor out there. If it's getting later in the night, this is where athletes usually start to get cold and they can't get back from that cold feeling out here. So use that as what you will right here. Rolling back through over here, we are zigging and zagging. We're back on the Eagleman course. We are going to go up another stretch of hill. We're going from a whopping 6 feet of elevation all the way up to 26 feet. It's nuts, guys. After we turn left, again, this is another area routinely impacted by the weather out here. Make sure you are actively prepped for that on race day. Rolling through back over here, we are going to run back over here. Got a little bit of a unique situation where we are going to hit that aid station right there, rolling around this section, and we're doing a little zigzag. So lots of turns in this area out here, and then we are going back to the transition area. You're going to repeat that one more time, getting back to our transition area. You're going to repeat that one more time again, and then you are going to hit up that hill one last time for you to hit the finish line. What does that look like in terms of pure elevation? Well, here it is. You got it, my friend. We are going about 270 feet of elevation gain. It's madness. A whopping 1.4% gradient is the gradient that you have to worry about the most that's coming at our hill right here. And if anyone's done Eagleman, they'll tell you exactly where it is. It's the exact same hill. But again, I meant what I said by one of the cruelest finishes or one of the cruelest run courses out on the circuit. That's because you run, you can see the finish, you can taste it, you got 3 loops to go. I mean, just don't even look at it. Every year when we're out there, we see athletes that get to this spot, they get really dejected. They're looking left, they got to go right. They got 2 more loops to do. It is rough out here sometimes. Just Again, don't even look at it. Just ignore it. You'll be there soon. Just run your race, and you will get there. All right. After you come back down again down the hill, you're going to be running right to the finish line and you are going to turn away. This is one of the busiest sections out on course. A lot of support, a lot of good vibes out here. Make sure you're using those vibes for you. All right, take them in, because once you head out past the transition area in this section up here, it gets very, very quiet. You're going to have little pockets of cheering and fun, right? But for the most part, you're going to be out here with just you and everybody else. It's going to be people watching the race. But again, it's not going to be anything like this section right here by the finish. So stay mentally strong on this course, all right? Use the aid stations to your benefit out here. A lot of athletes are going to skip aid stations. I would not skip any aid station out here. If it is a hot day out here, you have a ton of availability to cool off. It's labeled a first timer event. A lot of aid out here, right? If you are not a first timer, it's even better, right? So you get extra aid stations out here. You get extra opportunities to take care of things if things do go south or you start to overheat. You got lots of help out here on race day. Last big thing, the course can get impacted by weather if it's high tide and low tide and all that fun stuff. Again, just like the swim, it is what it is. Don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. Just do what you got to do out here on race day. This course can get in a lot of people's heads. I highly, highly encourage you. We do this strategy at Eagleman as well. If you're having a tough time, you get back over here, right? Look for the next corner on the race course. Look for the next corner. It's like, all right, I'm here. I just got to get to here. After that, all right, I get through this section over here. I just got to get to this corner, and then I just got to get to this corner, and then I got to get to this corner. Before you know it, you're going to be at this corner where you loop back around, and then, all right, I get back over here. Let's just get to that one. If you keep chasing those small victories on race day, you're going to have a much higher probability of success, for sure. I see it time and time again here at Ironman Maryland. It's a great, great course, but it can definitely get in your head, whether that be first timers all the way down to elites as well. All right. So stay mentally strong. Just like our bike, our run, we really struggle to maintain some of that fueling, hydration, and all that, even with all this extra aid. All right. For whatever reason, everybody's chasing the carrot. They're chasing other people. I would encourage you to not get caught up in the shenanigans that are happening on the run course. All right. Run your race and watch out for Gary Boyle State Park, which is right here. That is one of my huge red flags on this course every single year. Next big red flag out here is this road right here. Every single year, these two sections wreak havoc on people, whether that be in the form of getting cold or cramping, things like that. There's just a lot going on. You are going to have to switch from road running to a little grass running. And if you look at this, there's a little path out there, but you're going to have to be off-roading a little bit out here. So it does change slightly. Right. This section out here, again, one of the more lonely sections in Ironman. So it is a challenging run in its own right, even though it doesn't carry a ton of elevation. There's a lot of other elements that you need to be aware of for your race day success. All right. And with that, guys, that is the 2025 Ironman Maryland race course done and dusted. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, share, and reach out for any coaching advice if needed. I'll be happy to assist you. Some of you have taken me up on that already this year. Love helping everybody out, and good luck to everybody racing the 2025 Ironman Maryland course.